I never imagined I'd be the kind of man who told a story like this. But I suppose betrayal has a strange way of turning you into someone you no longer recognize. My name is Kabir. I'm 32, an architect by profession, a man who lived life with precision, like the blueprints I drafted every day. I prided myself on order, clean lines, clear outcomes. Maybe that's why when chaos entered my life, I didn't see it for what it was. I kept drawing straight lines, hoping they would keep everything intact. We lived in Mumbai, in a high-rise apartment on the 14th floor, overlooking the sea. Our home was beautiful, open plan, filled with natural light, the kind of space that made you feel like you were floating above the world. My wife, Aisha, loved it. Or, at least she said she did. Aisha. She was magnetic. Everyone noticed her when she walked into a room, not because she was the loudest, but because she had this quiet kind of confidence that turned heads. She had a voice that felt like velvet against your skin, and a laugh that made you forget the world was burning outside. I thought I knew her. God, I thought I knew her. It started with something small. Something so insignificant that I almost laughed it off. One evening, I got home early from work. The air smelled like lavender and cinnamon. Aisha's signature candle was burning in the living room. She wasn't there, but her phone was charging on the console. I don't usually snoop. I never had to. But that day, it lit up with a notification that caught my eye. A message from someone saved as Shanice. It read, "Can't stop thinking about yesterday. You looked stunning in white." White? Aisha hadn't worn white in months. She hated the way it made her look washed out. I picked up the phone, thumb hovering over the lock screen. I didn't try the password. I put it down. It's probably nothing, I told myself. A friend, maybe. She has plenty of friends. That evening, I asked her how her day was. She said it was boring. She'd gone to yoga, had lunch with her cousin Zara, and taken a nap. Nothing out of the ordinary. But there it was, the first sign that something wasn't quite right. Over the next few days, more little things began to stick out like splinters. I found a receipt in her handbag for a jewelry store I'd never heard of. The purchase was for a pair of gold bangles. She never mentioned buying jewelry. I asked casually, "Did you go shopping recently?" She looked me in the eyes and said, "No, not really." Not really. Then there were the phone calls she took in the balcony. She'd step outside, voice low, always laughing softly. If I came close, she'd turn her back. One time, I saw her reflection in the glass door. Her face was glowing, lit up like I hadn't seen in weeks. When she came back inside, I asked who it was. "Oh, just Zara again," she smiled. That smile felt too easy, too smooth. There was also that evening she came home late. Said her phone died, and she'd been at a cafe writing. Writing? I asked, surprised. She nodded. "I've been journaling, trying to process some things." I didn't press further. I didn't want to be that guy. Controlling, suspicious, insecure. But in the pit of my stomach, something had begun to churn. One night, I woke up at 3:17 a.m. to find her side of the bed empty. I walked into the living room, and she was standing by the window in her robe, whispering into her phone. When she saw me, she jumped. "It's Zara," she said again. "Zara's calling at 3 a.m.? She's going through something." She didn't offer more, and I didn't ask. But I couldn't shake the feeling. Everything felt slightly off-kilter, like the floor beneath me had shifted a fraction of an inch. The next morning, I reached for her phone again, but it now had a new passcode. She'd changed it. Why? Maybe I was imagining it. Maybe I was being paranoid. That's what I told myself as I looked at the calendar on our fridge and saw a date circled in red. Saturday, 4 p.m. Don't forget Red Heart. No explanation. When I asked her about it, she brushed it off. "It's just a reminder for something I'm working on. A little project." She kissed me on the cheek and smiled. But her eyes didn't smile with her. That was the moment I realized something inside her had changed. Something had shifted, subtly but irreversibly. I couldn't explain it. I didn't have proof. But I could feel it like a hairline crack running through glass. Too small to see, but big enough to make everything fragile. Still, I tried to let it go. Tried to tell myself I was overthinking. I took her out to dinner that Friday, her favorite place, soft jazz playing in the background, her favorite pasta on the table. She smiled, laughed, leaned into me, and for a moment, everything felt normal. But that's how betrayal hides, doesn't it? Behind well-timed smiles and rehearsed conversations. I thought maybe I was wrong. Maybe love just looks different after 5 years. I almost convinced myself that everything was fine, until I saw the dress in her closet. White. Elegant. Laced with gold embroidery. With a receipt dated last week. And my name was nowhere on it. I stared at that dress like it was alive, like it would speak and tell me what she hadn't. It hung there so innocently in her closet, nestled between her usual saris and work blouses. But it didn't belong. It was too grand, too bridal. And she hadn't mentioned a wedding. Not a friend's. Not a cousin's. Certainly not her own. The receipt attached to it was dated only 6 days ago. Paid in full. I read the label again. Custom fit, no refunds. I stepped back and closed the closet slowly, careful not to make a sound. Something was unraveling, and I wasn't sure whether it was her lies or my sanity. That evening, I said nothing. I sat across from her on the couch as she scrolled through her phone, casually sipping tea. She didn't even glance in my direction. Any plans this weekend? I asked, trying to keep my voice even. She shrugged. Not really. Might meet Zara again. She's been really down lately. Zara. Again. Always Zara. I forced a smile. Maybe I'll tag along this time. She looked up, her eyes sharp, a little too fast. Actually, she's asked to be alone. You know, girl stuff. I nodded. But I wasn't nodding on the inside. Inside, my mind was racing. That calendar note. Saturday at 4 p.m. The dress. The new phone passcode. Late night whispers. And now, a lie so flimsy I could see right through it. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, trying to fit the puzzle pieces together. My thoughts circled like vultures. Who was she really talking to? Why had she changed her password? Where did she even go when she disappeared for hours at a time? In the morning, while she was in the shower, I did something I never thought I would do. I opened her laptop. It was unlocked. Maybe she trusted me too much. Or maybe she never expected me to snoop. I opened the browser. There were recent searches for hotels, wedding planners, honeymoon destinations. Bali, Maldives, Santorini. My heart thudded louder than the rain outside the window. She had been planning something. Something intimate. Something secret. Then I found an email thread. From someone named Rayhan Siddiqui. I clicked it open. Rayhan. Saturday is almost here. I can't believe it's happening. Our moment, finally. I still remember the way you looked in white during our rehearsal. You were breathtaking. My hands turned cold. Our moment? Rehearsal? Aisha's reply. I can't believe we've pulled this off. Kabir suspects nothing. I feel guilty sometimes, but I remind myself that I deserve happiness. With you, I feel alive. Guilty. Guilty for betraying me. For using my name as a shield while she prepared to walk down the aisle with someone else. I closed the laptop slowly, as if afraid it would explode. I sat there, staring into space, feeling the air thicken around me. This wasn't just infidelity. This was another life. She had made a decision. A monumental one. She was marrying someone else. Secretly. While still wearing my name, sleeping in my bed, sipping tea I made her every morning. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I waited. I played my part, smiling, talking, pretending. I needed to know more. I needed to see it with my own eyes. Saturday arrived like a storm. She got dressed early that day. White kurta, golden embroidery, matching earrings. Her hair done in soft waves. She looked beautiful, almost cruelly so. I'll be out for a few hours, she said. Don't wait up. She didn't meet my eyes when she said it. I didn't ask where she was going. I simply nodded and watched her leave. The second the door closed, I was up. I had already tracked the location from her laptop's browser. She checked directions to a private farmhouse, just outside the city. I got in my car and followed the route. My hands gripped the steering wheel like it was the only thing anchoring me to reality. The drive took 40 minutes. Long, silent. My mind filled with images I didn't want to see. Her in that dress, walking down an aisle lined with flowers, smiling at another man the way she used to smile at me. When I finally arrived, I parked behind a row of guest cars, hidden by trees. Music played softly in the distance. I walked slowly toward the sound. And then I saw it. The farmhouse courtyard was decked in white and gold. Chairs arranged in neat rows. A canopy draped in jasmine flowers. And in the center there she was, Aisha, my wife, wearing that same dress, holding a bouquet. And standing next to her, a tall man in a cream sherwani, Rayhan. They were laughing together, whispering like lovers at the edge of forever. A priest stood nearby. Guests murmured in soft, joyful tones. It was a wedding. Not mine. Not ours. The betrayal hit me in waves. I stepped back, heart pounding like a drum. My breath shallow, like my lungs refused to accept this new reality. She had married another man, without telling me, while still legally married to me. A secret wedding. A double life. She thought she had gotten away with it, but she had no idea that I was about to take everything from her. I walked away from that farmhouse like a ghost, silent, unseen, but not untouched. The world around me blurred as a single truth echoed in my mind. She married him, while still married to me. The betrayal wasn't just emotional. It was criminal. By the time I reached home, my numbness had curdled into something sharper. Resolve. I didn't rage. I didn't cry. I documented. I took screenshots of her emails, photographed the receipt for the dress, took a time-stamped picture of the wedding venue, the decor, the crowd, and most importantly, her, standing hand in hand with that man beneath the jasmine canopy. Every lie she told me was now evidence. This wasn't just heartbreak. It was bigamy. And she wasn't going to walk away from it untouched. By Monday, I was sitting in a lawyer's office, calm but determined. I laid out every detail, dates, screenshots, receipts, emails. He leaned back in his chair, eyebrows raised. You have enough to file both for divorce and a criminal complaint, he said. Bigamy is a punishable offense. She could face jail time. It should have felt satisfying, but it didn't. Not yet. I needed her to see me knowing. I needed her to face the man she thought was too soft, too trusting, too passive, to face me, no longer blind. So I waited for her to return that evening, just like I had the last few nights. She walked in, humming, wearing a faint red stain on her hands, Mendy. She looked like she was glowing, like a bride. Except I was the husband she returned to. I sat at the dining table, calm.
She paused when she saw me.
You're home early, she said, placing her purse on the counter. I was missing my wife, I replied, watching her closely. She smiled. Sweet of you. I looked down at my plate. Did Zara enjoy the girl time? There was a pause so brief you might miss it, but I didn't.
She did, she said.
She's feeling better. I leaned back. Tell me something, Aisha. When exactly did you stop seeing me as your husband? Her face stiffened. What? You heard me. I don't understand what you're trying to. I saw the wedding, I said coldly. I saw you in the dress. I saw you standing next to him. You married Rayhan, didn't you? Her face drained of all color. She stepped back slowly, shaking her head. No, it's not what you think. That wasn't. Don't lie, I snapped. My voice finally cracked. I saw the ceremony.
The vows.
I saw everything. You married him while still being married to me. She sank into a chair like her legs couldn't hold her. I didn't plan to, Kabir. I didn't mean to hurt you. I laughed, bitter and cold. Didn't mean to? You planned an entire wedding behind my back. Tears welled in her eyes. It was just supposed to be symbolic at first. Rayhan and he was someone I met before you. My family didn't approve, so I married you. But I never stopped loving him. And what was I? I asked. A placeholder? A lie you told yourself to sleep better? I didn't know it would go this far, she said. But when I saw Rayhan again, I felt alive. I felt like myself again. I stood. Well, now you'll feel like an inmate. Her eyes snapped up. What? I filed for divorce this morning, and I've pressed charges. Bigamy is a criminal offense, Aisha. Her hands trembled.
No.
Kabir, please. Don't do this. It was a mistake. A lapse in judgment. We can talk through this. Talk, I said, narrowing my eyes. Like you talk to me every day while plotting a second marriage? She rushed toward me, grabbing my hand. I was confused. I didn't know what I was doing. I yanked my hand back.
No.
You knew exactly what you were doing. And now everyone else will too. Her phone buzzed. She looked down. A message from Rayhan. It's done. Can't believe it's official. Love you, Mrs. Siddiqui. She looked up at me, panicked. Please, don't take this to court. My parents, my job, they'll never forgive me. I shook my head. You should have thought about that before you disrespected everything we built. Her eyes were wild now.
Desperate.
I'll do anything. I'll apologize. I'll sign anything you want. Just don't take this public. But it was too late for bargaining. I walked away, and this time I didn't look back. The court proceedings were swift. The evidence was irrefutable. The judge's voice rang out like finality. This court finds Aisha Malik guilty of bigamy under Section 494 of the Penal Code. A fine and custodial sentence are imposed as per legal statute. The courtroom murmured. Aisha sobbed silently in her seat. Her parents, seated behind her, looked away in shame. And Rayhan, he never even showed up. The man she chose over me abandoned her when the consequences showed up. She looked at me as they let her out, eyes full of sorrow, regret, pleading. But I felt nothing. She had chosen her path, and I had chosen mine. Weeks passed. The story spread like wildfire. A prominent banker, exposed for dual marriage, fired from her job, disowned by her parents. Her life collapsed brick by brick. And me? I rebuilt. I moved out of the apartment and into a new home, one that didn't carry ghosts. I started therapy, started journaling. For the first time in months, I could breathe without suspicion, eat without nausea, sleep without dread. One evening, I received a letter. Handwritten. No return address. It was from Aisha. It read, Kabir, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I destroyed the one good thing I ever had. You loved me purely, and I betrayed that. Rayhan left me, said he couldn't handle the drama. I am alone now, and maybe that's what I deserve. If I could go back, I would choose you every time. But I know it's too late.
I'm sorry, Aisha.
I folded the letter and placed it back in the envelope. Then I set it on fire. She had her closure. Now I had mine. The day I burned Aisha's letter was the day everything shifted inside me. Not just because I was done with her, but because I was finally ready to be done with the version of myself who had allowed it all to happen. The man who doubted his gut. The man who let love blind him to truth. The man who stayed silent when he should have asked questions. That man was gone now. In his place stood someone forged in betrayal and rebuilt in clarity. But healing wasn't a straight line, it was jagged, winding. I woke up some mornings still aching from memories that clung to the walls of my mind like old wallpaper. I'd walk into rooms and imagine her voice, her laugh, her scent lingering in the air. The trauma had left a residue. So I chose something that felt both terrifying and necessary. I went away. I cashed out my vacation days and booked a month-long solo trip to the mountains of northern Pakistan. Somewhere far from concrete, chaos, and the ghosts of what used to be. I needed space. Not just physically, but spiritually. The moment I stepped off the bus in Hunza, I felt it. Stillness. The cold mountain air cut through every illusion I had wrapped myself in for warmth. The silence echoed louder than city sirens ever had. I stayed in a small wooden cabin overlooking the river, the peaks standing like eternal witnesses to my reckoning. Every day I hiked. I walked steep trails that made my knees scream and my lungs burn. But each climb reminded me, pain means you're still alive. That physical struggle mirrored the emotional one. Up there, where phone signals died and no one knew my story, I found something unexpected. Peace. One morning, I sat at the edge of a cliff, sipping hot chai, when I met an old man. A shepherd, maybe in his 70s, with some creased skin and eyes that held centuries. He didn't ask me why I looked so tired. He didn't ask who had broken me. He simply said, "When your house burns, it's easy to see the sky." I blinked. "What do you mean?" He smiled. "We build lives around people, around things, thinking they are permanent. But sometimes, life sets fire to what we thought would last forever. It hurts. But then you finally see what was hidden behind the walls. The sky. Freedom." I didn't say anything. I just looked up. He was right. This collapse wasn't the end. It was the unveiling. When I returned to the city a few weeks later, I wasn't the same man. My skin was darker from the sun, my body leaner from the climbs, but more than that, my mind was clear. My heart steadier. I changed my routine. I started going to the gym, joined a local book club, volunteered on weekends. I even began writing short stories at first, then essays, then a personal blog. Strangers online began following me, reading my words about heartbreak, betrayal, and healing. People messaged me, thanking me for articulating the pain they didn't know how to express. One woman wrote, "Reading your blog helped me leave a toxic marriage. Thank you for your honesty." That shook me. What was once just an outlet for grief had become a lifeline for others. And slowly, that's when I understood. Aisha didn't just break my heart, she redirected my purpose. One evening, I attended a friend's art exhibit. It had been years since I'd gone out for something like that. The gallery buzzed with soft music, wine glasses clinking, and laughter echoing against the white walls covered in bold, beautiful canvases. I wandered between the pieces until I stopped in front of one that froze me in place. It was abstract, just 3 colors, a dark red swirl, a streak of black cutting through it, and then an explosion of white light bursting from the center. I didn't need an explanation. I felt it.
Pain.
Betrayal. Rebirth. Beautiful, isn't it? A voice beside me. Feminine.
Warm.
I turned. A woman stood there, her hair tied in a loose bun, paint on her fingers, eyes soft but piercing. "You painted this?" I asked. She nodded. "It's called After the Ashes. I made it after a pretty brutal breakup." I chuckled softly. "I feel like you painted my story." She smiled. "Pain is universal, but so is healing." We talked for an hour about art, life, love, disappointment, and rediscovery. Her name was Sana, a painter who believed every broken soul had a masterpiece buried underneath. I didn't expect anything to come from it, but it did. We started talking regularly. Coffee turned into dinners. Dinners turned into late-night walks. Not romance, not yet, but something tender.
Real.
She never asked for details about my past, and I didn't volunteer them. She only cared about who I was now, not who I used to be when I was being lied to. For the first time in a long time, someone looked at me and didn't see a victim. They saw a man who survived. And then, a year after Aisha's sentencing, I received an invitation. Not to her hearing, to an exhibit. Sana's first solo show. She titled it "The Light That Stayed." I walked into that gallery with my head high, not broken, not bitter, but reborn. She ran up to me, smiling. "You came. I wouldn't miss it." She gestured to a corner of the gallery. "There's something I want you to see." There, under a soft spotlight, was a painting unlike any other. It was a simple doorway. One side charred and burned. The other side open, revealing sunlight and sky. In the center stood a man, half in shadow, half in light, stepping forward. A brass plaque below read, "For the ones who were betrayed and still chose to rise." I stared at it, heart full. "That's you," she whispered. And for the first time since the storm, I believed it. Redemption doesn't come with fireworks. It comes quietly, like morning sunlight through blinds, like the first breath after a long-held sob. It doesn't announce itself. It arrives when you least expect it, but exactly when you need it most. For me, redemption didn't come in a courtroom. It didn't even come with justice. It came the moment I looked in the mirror and didn't see a broken man anymore. I saw someone whole. Not perfect, not healed in every way, but real. It started with the small things. Things that would have once reminded me of Aisha and triggered pain now only sparked reflection. A song we used to dance to? I could listen to it without flinching. The restaurant where we had our first date? I could walk past it, nodding to the memory without being pulled under. Even my old journal entries, the ones soaked in heartbreak, I read them again. Not to reopen wounds, but to honor the man who had survived them.
I didn't want to erase the past.
I wanted to own it, because every lie she told, every night I questioned my worth, every tear I tried to hide in the shower, it all led to this me. The version of myself who now stood on the other side of the fire, not just alive but aware. One morning, while sipping chai on my balcony, I received an email that stopped me cold. Subject: Request for interview. National Healing Podcast. I blinked. Read it twice. It was from a journalist named Zara. She'd been following my blog for a while and wanted to feature my story. Not just the betrayal, but the recovery. She said, "We need more stories of men owning their pain and rising from it." Part of me hesitated. I wasn't sure I wanted to revisit all of it publicly. But another part, the stronger part, knew this was bigger than me. So I agreed. We recorded the episode in a quiet studio, just 2 microphones and dim lights. She asked hard questions, and I answered with truth. What hurt the most, she asked. Knowing that the person I loved didn't see me as real. That she could lie so easily, and I didn't stop her. What healed you? The realization that her betrayal had nothing to do with my worth, and everything to do with her emptiness. The episode aired 2 weeks later. The response was overwhelming. Hundreds of messages. Men and women alike thanking me for sharing what they'd been too ashamed to admit they had gone through. One man wrote, "I thought I was weak for crying after she left. Your story reminded me that strength isn't about hiding pain, it's about surviving it." That's when I understood what redemption really means. It's not revenge. It's not vindication. It's transformation. Turning what almost destroyed you into something that can save someone else. And just when I thought the chapter was closed, life gave me one last twist. I received a letter. A real one.
Handwritten.
No name, just a return address from the women's facility where Aisha was serving time. I stared at it for hours. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside, a single page. I don't expect forgiveness. I just want you to know that I think about what I did every single day. Prison didn't break me. The guilt did. You were a good man, and I destroyed something beautiful because I didn't know how to love properly. I hope you find someone who does. Aisha. No excuses. No justifications. Just words. For a moment, I felt the old pain rise. The betrayal, the flashbacks. But then something unexpected followed. Compassion. Not for what she did, but for the broken woman who never figured out how to love without hurting.
I didn't write back.
Not because I was angry, but because I didn't need to. Her letter wasn't a doorway to reopen. It was the final page of a book I'd already closed. Weeks later, I sat with Sanaa at her new studio. Sunlight spilled across the floor, soft music played, and canvases leaned against every wall. She was painting. I was reading. We weren't saying much, and yet everything felt full. She looked up suddenly. You ever think about what would have happened if she hadn't lied to you? I closed the book. All the time, I said. But then I realized, if she hadn't, I'd probably still be living a lie. I'd still be trying to prove myself to someone who never saw me. She walked over, brush in hand, and traced her finger along my jaw. And now, I whispered, I don't need anyone to see me, because I see myself. That night, I wrote the final post on my blog. The man who chose himself. I used to believe love meant giving someone your heart and trusting they wouldn't drop it. But real love, healthy love, starts when you give that heart to yourself first. When you set boundaries. When you trust your gut. When you walk away from what hurts, even if it once made you feel alive. She lied. She cheated. She left. But I didn't lose. I found myself, not despite the pain, but because of it. And to anyone reading this, sitting in the ruins of a love that turned out to be a lie, you will rise. You will rebuild. The ashes you're sitting in, they're fertile. Something beautiful will grow from here. That post went viral. Thousands of shares. An invitation to write a book. And for the first time, I said yes. Not because I wanted to be famous, but because I wanted the world to know what I had learned. You are not what they did to you. You are what you choose to become after. And I had chosen redemption. If you've come this far with me, you already know this wasn't just a story. It was a mirror. A mirror for anyone who's ever been betrayed, lied to, abandoned. For anyone who looked at themselves in the bathroom mirror and whispered, "Why wasn't I enough?" Let me say this clearly, so you never forget it. You were always enough. Their betrayal didn't happen because of something you lacked. It happened because of something they lacked the courage to face. People lie when they fear the truth. They cheat when they're running from themselves. They hurt when they're drowning in shame they won't admit. But none of that is your responsibility to fix. Your responsibility is to heal.
To rise.
To turn your wounds into wisdom and your scars into a map so that the next time love comes, you're walking in with your eyes open, your heart whole, and your standards non-negotiable. Because you deserve peace. You deserve laughter that doesn't come with caution. You deserve a partner who doesn't just say the right things but loves them. And if you're still in the pain, if the betrayal is fresh and the nights are long, I want you to remember this. The version of you that survives this, they will be unshakable. You won't just rebuild. You'll rise higher. You'll attract friendships that nourish you, opportunities that honor you, and love that feels safe, stable, and sacred. But most importantly, you'll finally meet yourself. The one beneath the doubt, beneath the heartbreak, beneath the noise of someone else's lies. And when you do, you'll smile, because you'll realize that they lost someone rare. You didn't lose. You learned. You grew. You awakened. You became. So here's my final message to you. Never let someone else's inability to love with truth stop you from believing in love altogether. Love isn't the enemy.
Dishonesty is.
So love again. But next time, love yourself first. And watch how everything shifts. Your story isn't over. In fact, it's just beginning. Because the moment you choose yourself, you win.